704 UIL Texas High School football teams. The road to Arlington and Texas High School football immortality begins right here, right now. Live from the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership in beautiful Lewisville, Texas. It's the 2025 Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight Playoff Bracket Reveal Special presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm Greg Tepper, editor-in-chief of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine and TexasFootball.com. Thank you for spending part of your evening with us. To my right, he's the prince of the pairings, the maestro of the matchups, the baron of the brackets, our high school football insider, Matt Stepp. Happy holidays, my friend.
That's right. It's one of the busiest days of the year and most fun days of the year, and I can't wait to reveal the brackets to everyone, and let's get this party started.
Over the course of the next 90 minutes, we will be revealing all 12 UIL Texas High School football playoff brackets, the road to Arlington for all 704 UIL Texas High School football playoff teams. Before we get to that, it's worth looking back on the week that was, Week 11, the final week of the Texas High School football regular season. And these were a few of the big games that we had our eye on. Amarillo and Amarillo-Tascosa, we'll get back to that in just a moment. But Summer Creek beats North Shore 27-0 in a really impressive victory.
Yeah, we knew Summer Creek had a great offense. We weren't quite sure about the defense. And to shut out North Shore, absolutely impressive from Kenny Harrison's ball club. They made a big-time statement heading into the playoffs.
Liberty Hill wins their district championship 42-14, impressively over previously unbeaten Bastrop. How about Sulphur Springs? 20-13, a team that lost their starting quarterback a couple of weeks ago, and yet they keep on turning, get a real promising state-ranked win.
Yeah, battle of state-ranked teams there. They go on the road to knock off Panther Creek, and Sulphur Springs got it done in the trenches. They are a team to watch in Region 2. Their quarterback, Mason Cooper, is really emerging and coming into his own after they lost Deuce Timmons to an injury. Canadian
wins another district championship, 49-27 winners over Childress. And then Dallas Lincoln wins 40-28 over Dallas Carter. And, Step, this is not your average 40-28 victory.
No, this was a double overtime win for Dallas Lincoln. Lincoln needed to win by 12 to get the 1 seed. They got it off a pick six in overtime, leading by 6. Dallas Carter was trying to tie the game up. Lincoln gets an interception return all the way for a touchdown to get the 12-point margin they needed to win the three-way tiebreaker and get the number 1 seed out of District 8-4A Division I.
It was a wild Week 11 of Texas high school football, and that includes that game we mentioned, Amarillo getting a really impressive win over Tascosa. That was hours after they had to vacate a number of wins, which put their for sure playoff spot in peril. They needed a win over Amarillo-Tascosa and some help, and then it all ended up at a gas station in the Panhandle. Let's go to the film here and go to the tape and see what happened up there in the Panhandle in a parking lot of a gas station up there. It is a good old-fashioned coin flip.
All right, let's go ahead. Just look them up.
Oh, that's heads.
That's heads.
That's heads. Tails. Yep, that's heads.
Tails here.
Coach Diner.
Amarillo High.
We said if it's God's plan, and it's God's plan, we got a special group of kids. I hate this because I'm just crying all the time. I'm an emotional wreck, but it's God's plan, and we trust Him.
What a roller coaster day for Amarillo High. Getting a number of their games vacated, forfeited because of use of an ineligible player, winning their game against their rival Tascosa in Hell Week, and then winning a coin flip to get into the playoffs.
What a day for Chad Dunham and the Sandys. You said it right, a roller coaster. And then they go out and get the win. They needed every break to go their way, and it went their way. A little bit fitting that they get it. They were clearly one of the 4 best teams in that district, so I think it's fitting that they got into the playoffs. And they'll be a problem in Region 1. They're a team, they have a little bit of a feel of a team of destiny, so we'll see where they land in the brackets.
We will take a look at those brackets coming up here in just a moment. But first, if this is your first time paying attention to the Texas High School football playoffs, welcome to the greatest show on earth. We'll take you through exactly how the Texas High School football playoffs work, starting with Class 6A. So 4 teams from the top 4 teams in each district qualify for the playoffs. You take those 4 teams. The 2 largest schools by enrollment go to the Division I bracket. The 2 smallest schools by enrollment go to the Division II bracket. It rounds up with a 64-team bracket with 6 rounds finishing at the state championships at AT&T Stadium in Arlington on December 20th. Then down to the other 11-man classifications. 5A, 4A, 3A, and 2A do things a little bit differently. These are, of course, these districts, are pre-split. We'll talk about what 5A, 4A, 3A, and 2A playoffs look like here. But 6A does do things a little bit differently.
Yes.
And I think that's hard for people to get their grasp on. They are not pre-split divisions. They are split after we find out who is in the playoffs. Yeah,
so when certification happens, which took place today, schools submit their top 4 seeds. Districts submit their top 4 seeds 1 through 4. And then at that point, after they're submitted, they are split into divisions based on their district seed.
That is different from what happens in 5A, 4A, 3A, and 2A. Let's take a look at how those playoffs take place. The top 4 teams in each of those districts qualify. That is the same. But the divisions districts are pre-split. So there's a District 15 4A Division 1 and a 15 4A Division 2.
Correct.
They are then placed in their respective divisions brackets. 6 rounds as a field of 64, finishing at the state championships at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, starting December 17th and through the 20th. And so this is a little bit different from what we talk about in 6A. You'll know a little bit more of your playoff path from the beginning if you're in 5A, 4A, 3A, or 2A.
Yeah, because there's not split divisions, so you have that immediate kind of knowledge of you're going to be in this bracket no matter what. And then, if you get a 1 seed, you're going to play a 4 seed in the first round of the playoffs, which definitely is a little bit of incentive if you're in most cases. Now, in some cases, like with Amarillo High, maybe not so much of an incentive. That's a really good 4 seed, but in theory, you get the 1 seed, you're going to have a little bit better path than you would if you were a 2 or a 3 or a 4.
So that's all the 11-man classifications. But what about in 6-man football? Class 1A, things work out a little bit differently. Just the top 2 teams from each district qualify. Here, the divisions are pre-split. Teams are placed in their divisions, and the 5 rounds, there's with just 32 teams in the bracket as opposed to 64. There's only 5 rounds of the playoffs, finishing at AT&T Stadium in Arlington on December 17th. So the only difference between 1A and 2A, for example, is that only 2 teams in each district make the playoffs. That is how the Texas high school football playoffs work. We are going to be bringing you all 12 UIL Texas high school football playoff brackets momentarily. Of course, your home for the Texas high school football playoffs is texasfootball.com/playoffs. That's where you can find printable brackets, pairings, predictions, everything you need for the 2025 Texas high school football playoffs. Games shape futures. Bus rides build bonds. Coaches change character. At Dick's Sporting Goods, we believe that sports have the power to change lives, and we're proud to partner with Dave Campbell's and its mission to get athletes in the game. Gear up for your next season today, in-store or at Dicks.com. Every season starts at Dick's. After the break, the Class 6A playoff brackets. The road to Arlington paved here. Stay with us.
I've seen a lot of Texas out on the open road, from up in Amarillo down to San Antonio. No matter where I travel, one thing remains the same. Everybody loves Ford here in the Lone Star State. Ford is the best in Texas.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Yo, these Katie's are fire. Bro, you work here?
Whatever, kid. Take notes. Yo, I can go all pro in these.
I can guard you and route you up.
You sure about that?
Not anymore.
Fellas looking for a quarterback?
The goal!
Billy needs cleats. You're right, Billy. These do bring out my eyes.
Every shoe for every athlete, only at Dick's.
Dick's is the GOAT.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, and Baylor Scott & White Health.
Welcome back to the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight Playoff Bracket Reveal Show. I am Greg Tepper, but enough of us yapping. It is time to reveal the Class 6A brackets, starting with the granddaddy of them all, Class 6A Division I, and here to take us through the first round matchups, our friend Ashley Pickle. Hi, Ashley.
Hi guys, happy holidays, and we won't waste any time getting right into bracket action as we take a look at the big dogs at 6A Division I. We start off in Region 1. Right here you've got El Paso, Franklin, and Midland Legacy. North Crowley, the reigning state champs, taking on the Keller Indians. Coppell and Plano. Richardson and Haltom. Odessa Permian and El Paso Eastlake. How about Euless Trinity and Mansfield Lake Ridge? Allen and Louisville, a tasty one up there in the DFW, and then South Grand Prairie and Lake Highlands. That's Region 1. We move now to the gauntlet that is Region 2. Wiley East and Rockwall Heath. Duncanville trying to get back to AT&T Stadium after falling short last year against brand new head coach Chad President and his Temple Wildcats. The Woodlands and Aldine Davis. Klein Collins and Bridgeland, a bi-district matchup we're used to seeing at this point. North Forney and Saxe, Waco Midway and Waxahachie, Aldine Nimitz and Conroe Grand Oaks, and we round out Region 2 with Cypress Ranch and Coach Caduti and his Klein Bearcats. We move now to the other side of the bracket there in Region 3. You have Cy Falls taking on Houston Bel Air, Katy Cinco Ranch and Fulshear, Fort Bend Ridgepoint and Pearland Dawson. Galena Park North Shore also trying to get back to Jerry World for the first time in 2 years in Deer Park. Then you've got Houston Lamar and Cy Fair. Houston Strike Jesuit taking on Katy Pato. Pearland, the Oilers going up against Fort Bend Travis, and the Dickinson Gators taking on those Eagles of Humble Atascocita. Moving on now to the final region here in 6A Division I, and that would be Region 4. You've got Eli Reinhardt and the Hutto Hippos taking on Austin Bowie. San Antonio Johnson going up against San Antonio O'Connor in a matchup of 2-1-0 squads there. Cibolo Steel heading down, there you go, for Laredo LBJ. Weslaco and San Benito. How about that? Hank Carter and his Lake Travis Cavaliers will be taking on Round Rock. San Antonio Brennan against San Antonio Reagan. Another matchup there in the 2-1-0. Laredo United and Converse Judson. And we round it all out with Los Fresnos taking on Edinburgh Economedes. Guys, that wraps up 6A Division I. What catches your eye?
It's the big dogs, of course, the largest classification in Texas high school football. Star-studded, as always. I will say, from my perspective, you look at 6A Division I, and I would say, unlike past years, this feels much more wide open than it's been in the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, parity's been the word all year in Class 6A, especially in the Division I bracket. The perennial powers seem to have fallen back to the pack a little bit, and you've got teams that have emerged like Fort Bend Ridgepoint, like Dickinson, like Pearland, especially in Region 3. Lake Travis is having a banner year. So I think what we've got is a really wide open and fun playoff path to Arlington.
Is there a first-round matchup there in 6A Division I that really catches your eye? There's a couple ones. One of the ones I think is flying under the radar is the one Los Fresnos and Edinburgh Economedes. That's a 10-0 Los Fresnos team taking on a 9-1 Economedes team. That's fascinating stuff. I'm really interested to see how that shakes out. And then I would say all of the District 11 6A versus 12 6A matchups there, with Hewitt Midway taking on Waxahachie and Duncanville and Temple, some early cross-regional matchups.
Yeah, that Midway Waxahachie game is really tasty. Waxahachie was shared the district championship with DeSoto and Duncanville. Midway is a under-the-radar 9-1 ball club. Should be a lot of fun. I think the Allen-Louisville game, when Louisville is on their A game, they can play with anyone in the state. The issue with them has been consistency throughout the year.
Keep an eye on Fort Bend Ridgepoint and Pearland Dawson as well. We could be heading for a second-round matchup between Fort Bend Ridgepoint and Galena Park North Shore. That will be box office stuff. That is Class 6A Division I, the largest classification in Texas high school football. But let's get to the 6A Division II bracket. And here to present it is our friend Mallory Hartley. Hi, Mal.
Hey, guys. Let's continue on with the big dogs, but with 6A Division II. Let's start up here at the very top with Region 1. We've got El Paso Eastwood taking on Wolfworth Friendship. Pay attention to Michigan commit Zion Robinson for Mansfield taking on Trophy Club Byron Nelson, and Parker Almanza, Baylor commit there for Trophy Club Byron Nelson. Dengeyer, a team loaded with prospects, and Prosper Rock Hill. Dallas Jesuit playing Arlington Lamar. San Angelo Central and El Paso Pebble Hills. I really like Freshman phenom Noah Terrett for El Paso Pebble Hills. South Lake Carroll, a team that needs no introduction, taking on Crowley. Taylor's newest Nebraska commit out there for wide receiver for Crowley. Prosper and Hebron down there at the very bottom. Let's round it out. Region 1 with Arlington Bowie taking on Richardson Berkbrenner. I really like Daquan Dunn, Arizona State commit there for the Rams. Let's move on to Region 2. At the very top here, you've got Rowlett and Longview. Really like Jaden Herndon for Longview. DeSoto trying to get back to AT&T Stadium. They'll be taking on Coppers Cove. The Woodlands College Park, kind of a surprising team this year. That's a team that's loaded with prospects, taking on Aldine Eisenhower. Magnolia and Cypress Lakes. Let's talk about Forney and their Notre Dame commit. It's Javion Osborne. He's down to have a good playoff run. They're taking on Garland Naaman Forest. Killeen Harker Heights taking on Cedar Hill. Spring Westfield and Willis, you gotta pay attention to our 5-star commit, and that's Jermaine Bishop there for Willis. And Waller and Tomball to round out Region 2. Let's flip over to the other side of the bracket in Region 3. You've got Houston Memorial taking on Houston Wisdom. Katy and Richmond George Ranch. Fort Bend Hightower taking on Manville, a team that's also full of prospects. Humble Summer Creek and Clear Springs. Houston Heights and Houston Stratford. Richmond Foster down there taking on Katy Jordan. And Alvin Chouteau Creek, a team that's also loaded with prospects on both sides of the ball there, taking on a Fort Bend Bush team. And then down there at the very bottom, Clear Falls and C.E. King. I love Dylan Mitchell. He is a speedy athlete there for C.E. King. And let's round it out with 6A Division II with Region 4 up there at the very top. It's the battle of the quarterbacks. Austin Vandergrift taking on Austin Westlake. San Antonio Brandeis and San Antonio Sotomayor. San Marcos and Eagle Pass. Endenburg taking on Brownsville Veterans Memorial. Dripping Springs and Cedar Park Vista Ridge. San Antonio Harlan taking on San Antonio Madison. Like Baylor commit Jordan Clay for San Antonio Madison. Medina Valley and New Braunfels Canyon. And to round out the big dogs of 6A Division II Region 4, it's Harlingen and La Jolla. What a loaded 6A Division II bracket, guys. What'd you see and what'd you like?
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a ton of fun there in 6A Division II. I will say my first read on it is that I think there is at least a front runner in 6A Division II. It's been the team that's been number one wire to wire in Dave Campbell's Texas football all season long. Riley Dodge's South Lake Carroll Dragons. And I look there. It's going to be tough in Region 1 because I think Region 1's got some potential landmines, but I think the Dragons enter as the favorite.
Yeah, what pops off the page to me is a potential third-round matchup between the number 1 ranked South Lake Carroll Dragons and a really, really good Prosper Ball Club whose only loss of the year was by 1 point to Allen. They own a win over Austin Westlake along with Rockwall Heath. They've got a great squad there at Prosper. I think that's going to be a fun potential Thanksgiving weekend matchup if things hold true. I like the Region 4 bracket. I think there's good depth in Region 4 this year.
How about a first-round matchup between Vandergrift, the reigning state champs in 6A Division II, and Austin Westlake, a team that was the 6A Division I runner-up a year ago. And that's because Westlake now going to the Division II bracket because of the way that District 25-6A shook out.
And also, you got to think about this. Dripping Springs defeated Westlake in week 11 by 10, sending Westlake to that number 2 seed, where they have to take on a really good Vandergrift team in the first round of the playoffs. And then a juicy second-round matchup, a rematch of last year's playoff game between Dripping Springs and undefeated San Antonio Harlan, who might be the top team in the 2-1-0 this year.
Region 3, of course, it's easy to look at the two teams from District 23, 6A, Humble Summer Creek coming off of a big win over Galena Park North Shore, and then C.E. King, a team we've been very impressed with this season. Tons of speed there. Of course, Katy looms as well, and you doubt Gary Joseph at your own peril.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I think Summer Creek, we could be in for a Summer Creek C.E. King rematch in the regional final, considering how strong Summer Creek looked in Week 11 against North Shore.
It's fantastic stuff. And then Region 2, we mentioned it. DeSoto, of course, loaded. Forney's got plenty of playmakers. Longview lurks as well. That's a dangerous second seed, so to speak, out of their district. It is a wild. I think 6A Division 2 has a chance to really steal the show in the playoffs.
Yeah, this year 6A Division II is unusually strong. I think for years, the past 5 years or so, all the attention in 6A has been in Division 1. And 6A Division 2 has almost felt like a warm-up act to Division 1 at UIL State. In Arlington, I don't think that's the case this year. I think the 6A Division 2 bracket is equally as entertaining as the Division I bracket.
We are just getting started here on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight Playoff Bracket Reveal Show. Coming up after the break, the Class 5A brackets with some huge first-round matchups that will shape the entire state. Stay with us. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Fueling the Future Award, presented by Dutch Bros, honors exceptional teachers across Texas who go above and beyond to energize and inspire their students every day. These educators exemplify passion, dedication, and a commitment to shaping the leaders of tomorrow. Each month, one deserving teacher is recognized with a commemorative award and a $500 donation courtesy of Dutch Bros to support their academic department and further their impactful work in the classroom. To nominate your teacher, visit texasfootball.com/fuelingthefuture.
I've seen a lot of Texas out on the open road, from up in Amarillo down to San Antone. No matter where I travel, one thing remains the same. Everybody loves Ford here in the Lone Star State. Ford is the best in Texas.
Uh-oh. You good?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, if your back hurts, you should be able to get the care you need. So you can get in, get out, and get back out there. Like, fast.
Well, that is kind of my thing.
It's not complicated. Scheduling's easy on the MyBSW Health app.
Welcome back to the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight Playoff Bracket Reveal Show, unveiling all 12 UIL Texas High School football playoff brackets. I'm Greg Tepper. It's time to move on to Class 5A, which promises to be one of the most exciting classifications in all of Texas high school football. And here to tell us about the 5A Division I bracket, Ashley Pickle.
Exciting is the right way to put that. Maybe the most wide open bracket that we'll see. We start off here in Region 1, kind of West Texas into DFW, El Paso, El Dorado going on against Amarillo, who we saw win the coin flip earlier in the show. Fort Worth Wyatt taking on the Royals of Richland. You have Abilene going up against El Paso Bel Air, Denton Ryan and Saginaw Chisholm Trail. How about Robbie Jones and his Alito Bearcats squad taking on Saginaw? Amarillo Tascosa going head-to-head with El Paso Parkland. Fort Worth Arlington Heights squaring up against White Settlement Brewer, El Paso Americas, and Lubbock Monterey. We move now to Region 2, where you'll find Frisco Lone Star in the gauntlet that they're looking up against with North Mesquite. Georgetown took the loss to Cedar Park, so fell to that second seed. They'll head up against Burleson Centennial. West Mesquite and the SCO, the Raccoons of Frisco. Midlothian and Georgetown Eastview. The bottom part of this region, you get Highland Park, the Scots, going up against the Broncos of Lake Belton. Carrollton Creekview in a surprisingly incredible season there. They get paired up with Frisco Reedy. Cedar Park, who beat Georgetown, aforementioned, going up against Tyler, and then Frisco Wakeland taking on Carrollton Smith, also with a very good year for them. Moving on to the other side of the bracket, that's where you'll find Region 3. Port Arthur Memorial, an absolute wagon, as Greg Tepper likes to say, heading up against Galena Park. How about this? This is where you start getting into those District 11 versus 12 in College Station. A&M Consolidated heading up against Crosby. Houston Madison and Beaumont United. These next two that we have been waiting for, and that would be Angleton taking on the Cougars of College Station, and LaPorte up against Pflugerville Weiss. Box office stuff here in Region 3. Houston Westbury going up against Lufkin. Austin Anderson in one of their best seasons in program history taking on Friendswood, and we round out Region 3 with Barbers Hill and Houston Waltrip. Moving now to the final region here in 5A Division 1, and that would be Region 4. Smithson Valley going up against San Antonio Southside. Edinburgh Vela trying to rep the RGV against Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial. Then a pair of San Antonio teams in San Antonio J taking on San Antonio Piper. Corpus Christi Flower Bluff taking on McAllen. PSJA North against Mission in an RGV matchup there. San Antonio Southwest against Bernie Champion. Keep your eye on that one. McAllen Memorial against Harlingen South. And we round it all out with the Go Corns, the New Braunfels Unicorns, taking on Laredo Nixon. That'll round out 5A Division I, guys.
Laredo Nixon, here's a fun fact, played the final Texas high school football
That is
regular
correct.
season game. We were waiting. If you were wondering what we were doing on a Saturday night, we were waiting for Laredo Nixon and Laredo Martin to go
We were
final.
watching the Hammer Bowl. Come on.
Exactly
we were watching
right.
the Hammer Bowl.
5A Division I, that is the bracket. Of course, Aledo looms large there in Region 1. Of course, a team that will need to be reckoned with. But that is I think that there are a number of potential landmines for them, whether it's in Region 1 a couple rounds down the road or in a semifinal or championship game.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, obviously we're going to talk about Aledo, we're going to talk about Highland Park, those kind of favorites. But where my eyes go, Tepper, immediately to Region 3.
Yeah.
I think Region 3 is going to be a fireworks factory. LaPorte and Pflugerville-Weiss in the first round is an unbelievable first-round matchup. Austin Anderson has been a real surprise team. And you've got Angleton, who's still dangerous, even despite the injuries. And then you've got Port Arthur Memorial, undefeated out of the 409. Uber talented. This could be the year for the Titans.
Region 2, I think, has got a ton of star power as well. Frisco Lone Star, undefeated. Highland Park with quarterback Buck Randall, of course, what played for the state championship a year ago. They are back. Keep an eye on West Mesquite. I'm big on Steven Jackson's ball club, 9-1 on the year. They have been terrific.
Jungle West is going to be a problem.
They are going to be a real problem. I think that Region 2 has a chance to be really fun. And then you look at Region 4. Smithson Valley, the reigning 5A Division I state champs, 9-1 on the year. My opinion, this is me sitting here at 10:57 p.m. on Saturday. Give me some time to sleep. I think they're the favorite in Region 4.
Yeah, I think they're the favorite. They have the pedigree. They have the state championship resume. But this is a good region. And, you talk about teams like McAllen Memorial, New Braunfels, Corpus Christi Vets, Flower Bluff, and then, of course, PSJ North, 10-0, #PPR.
PPR, always very dangerous. We are rolling here on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight Playoff Bracket Reveal Show. That's 5A Division I. What about 5A Division II? Always good for some fireworks. Here to present it, Mallory Hartley.
Fireworks is right. Another division that's loaded with prospects. Let's jump right into it. Starting off in Region 1, up there at the top, El Paso Andres taking on Wichita Falls Memorial. Melissa and Colleyville Heritage. I like Texas offensive tackle commit Max Wright from Melissa. Amarillo Palo Duro and El Paso Hanks. Mansfield Timberview. This one's really fun. Watch out for Texas A&M defensive back Chance Collins taking on Anna and quarterback Zayandre Williams. Argyle and Lovejoy in a tasty matchup. Abilene Cooper and El Paso Chapin. Prosper Walnut Grove. They went undefeated on the season. Watch out for Cam Newton taking on Arlington Seguin down there at the bottom. It's El Paso Del Valle, one of the most fun prospects in the entire state. It's quarterback Jake Fetty, Arizona State commit, taking on Lubbock Cooper. Let's move on to Region 2. At the very top, no introduction needed. Let's see if they can make it back to AT&T Stadium. South Oak Cliff taking on Crandall, Montgomery, and Mount Pleasant. We've got Terrell and Seagoville. Marshall taking on Huntsville. Texarkana, Texas. Love Oregon commit Sherdarian Ball. Watch out for him. They're taking on Montgomery Lake Creek. Midlothian Heritage is taking on Dallas Hillcrest. Port Neches Groves is taking on Nacogdoches, and down there at the very bottom, it's Dallas Wilson and Ennis. Let's flip over to the other side of the bracket. At the very top of Region 3, it's Richmond Randall. You can't talk about Richmond Randall without talking about Landon Williams Callis. Just amassed the 6,000 career rushing yard mark last week. Taking on Colleen Ellison, San Antonio Jefferson, and Pflugerville Connolly. Waco University, like wide receiver Lyndon Smith, he's committed to Baylor, taking on a Fort Bend Marshall team that is also riddled with prospects. Weston Nielsen, 2027 quarterback out of Bastrop, they'll be taking on San Antonio Burbank. Liberty Hill and San Antonio Lanier. You got Brenham, look out for Chris Guidry and Brenham taking on Texas City. Down there at the very bottom, San Antonio Sam Houston, they'll be playing Pflugerville. And Iowa Colony taking on Belton for round out Region 3. Let's round out 5A Division 2. Up at the very top there in Region 4, you got Bernie and Corpus Christi Ray. Ed Couch Elsa taking on Mission Sherilyn Pioneer. Gregory Portland and Kerrville Tybee. Mission Sherilyn and Brownsville Porter. Mission Veterans Memorial taking on Brownsville Pace. Corpus Christi Miller and Victoria West. Down there at the very bottom, it's Mercedes and Roma. And to round out 5A Division II, you got Alamo Heights taking on Corpus Christi Carroll. What a fun bracket this will be, guys.
5A Division II, sure to be one of the most exciting brackets to keep an eye on. And Matt Stepp, you take a look at this, and at all year long, it feels like there have been about 3 or 4 teams that have really separated themselves from the pack, right? South Oak Cliff, Port Neches Groves, and of course the reigning state champs, Richmond Randall.
Sure.
Certainly that is on the short list of contenders there, but I think if you zoom out a little bit more, this is a loaded bracket with a number of potential spoilers.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 of the favorites. There's Iowa Colony. They took Richmond Randall to the limit in an overtime game earlier this year. I think they're going to be a team. Carson White at quarterback, Jaden Warren at receiver. They're going to be a team to watch. I think Melissa in a loaded Region 1 has a chance to be a real spoiler there. As most people will probably have Argyle as the favorite. And then in Region 2, South Oak Cliff is obviously the favorite, but this is a good region. You've got an undefeated Terrell squad. You got an uber talented Texas High squad. You've got undefeated Port Neches Groves. There's some good football teams in Region 2 that aren't just going to be a walkover for South Oak Cliff. Sock is the favorite, but I think the path to AT&T Stadium in Arlington is not an easy one.
Terrell undefeated. Up there in Region 1, Argyle and Lovejoy. Todd Rogers taking on Todd Dodge. 138 career playoff victories between those two.
That seems good.
That is about as good as it gets. That will be a fun first-round matchup. Region 3 is going to be interesting as well. You've got Richmond Randall, of course, a favorite. I like them in the top half of that bracket, although Bastrop, even after that Week 11 loss to Liberty Hill, I think is very dangerous with that offense. Liberty Hill, the slot T is the devil.
It is the devil.
And they are rolling right now. Iowa Colony looms. Brenham, a second-place finisher in that district. I think that second-round match between Brenham and Liberty Hill, that was a matchup in the area round last year, and Brenham got the better of them.
Yeah, when Brenham's on, they can play with anyone in the state. They've been a little inconsistent, especially towards the end of the season. If they can get their wheels back on, they've got enough playmakers to really be a threat in Region 3.
I think Region 4 is about as wide open as it gets. I don't know that there's necessarily a team that you look at and say they are the clear favorite. I think a lot of eyes are going to be on District 13, right? Bernie, Alamo Heights, teams like that. But I look at a team like Gregory Portland, which has been very good all year long.
Yeah, they've won 9 straight after their season opening loss to Sinton. They've been maybe the best team in the Coastal Bend. In fact, they have been the best team in the Coastal Bend at the 5A level this year. They're going to be a threat. And if you're looking for a sleeper to dream on, how about 10-0 Mercedes out of the Rio Grande Valley? They've been great this year. Obviously, a tough second-round matchup against Alamo Heights, but if you're looking for one of those deep sleepers out of the 9-5-6, it could be the Mercedes Tigers.
Class 5A Division II is going to be a lot of fun, and we'll be tracking it every step of the way at texasfootball.com/playoffs. We are still rolling. It's Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. After the break, Class 4A. Where does Stephenville, Salina, Carthage land? Find out with us after the break.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Texas Army National Guard are honored to present the Coach of the Week Award, celebrating one head coach in 7 different classifications. That's 6A all the way down to 6-man, and of course, private school every single week. Think your head coach deserves some recognition? Nominate them under our weekly Twitter and Facebook post. Those will come out Friday at 10:30 p.m., Saturday 8:30 p.m., and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. That's facebook.com/Dave Campbell's or at DCTF on Twitter. Thank you to Texas Army National Guard for helping spotlight the hard work and dedication of high school head coaches across Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to partner with Sport Tyler to award the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week, which recognizes the top offensive player in Division I college football, who also exhibits the enduring characteristics that define Earl Campbell: integrity, performance, teamwork, sportsmanship, drive, community, and tenacity. It all leads up to the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, announced in January. Congratulations to this week's winner of the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose National Player of the Week. For more information, visit earlcampbellaward.com.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football is proud to partner with Garage Door Doctor to spotlight 10 deserving teen moms across the DFW Metroplex. Congratulations to this week's winner of the Teen Mom Appreciation Award. Think you know a deserving teen mom? Head on over to www.texasfootball.com/teenmom to submit a nomination.
In a state where football is king, more than 1,200 teams have one thing on their minds: The routes may differ, but the destination is shared. Arlington, Texas, the cathedral of Texas high school football. Here, champions will be crowned.
I've seen a lot of Texas out on the open road. From up in Amarillo down to San Antonio. No matter where I travel, one thing remains the same. Everybody loves Ford here in the Lone Star State. Ford is the best in Texas.
All roads lead to Arlington, and those roads start getting paved tonight on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight Playoff Bracket Reveal Special. I'm Greg Tepper. On to Class 4A with tons of big-time action in small towns. And here to talk about the 4A Division I bracket, Ashley Pick.
We take a look at potentially the deepest Region 1 that we have out of any brackets, and that's 4A Division I Region 1. We start off here with El Paso Isleta taking on Canyon Brownwood. Finally starting to figure things out. They'll try to get that done against Big Spring. Canyon West Plains, arguably the favorite of this entire bracket from the beginning of the year. They'll be going up against El Paso Irvine. San Angelo Lakeview going up against the Badgers of Lampasas. Andrews taking on Burnett. Canyon Rando going up against El Paso Austin. Stephenville, Sterling Doty's ball club is rolling right now as they'll take on Pecos. And then we have El Paso Riverside against the Demons of Dumas. We move now to Region 2 and the Porcupines of Springtown taking on the Bullfrogs Lake Worth. Dallas Carter going up against Frisco Panther Creek. Alvarado trying to make another deep playoff run, this time without Cartier Collier though. Fort Worth Carter Riverside. Sulphur Springs going up against Dallas Kimball. Salina trying to repeat as they are the reigning 4A Division I state champs with Bo Bentley at the helm. Dallas Pinkston. Then we've got Kennedale going up against Fort Worth, Eastern Hills. Dallas Lincoln taking on the Wildcats of Paris. Decatur, the Eagles are rolling and they look to do that against River Oaks Castleberry. Moving on to the left side of the bracket and we'll find Region 3. Kilgore, the Bulldogs looking like a team to beat here. Going up against LCM in Little Cypress, Mauriceville. We've got Stafford and Houston Wheatley. Bridge City against Jeff Reardon and his Chapel Hill Bulldogs. Houston North Forest going up against Navasota. Houston Yates and the Blue Jays of Needville. Lumberton, the Raiders taking on Longview Pine Tree. Fort Bryn Crawford going up against Houston Worthing. And then Josh Cochran and his Lindell Eagles will see Huffman Hargrave in a highly anticipated by-district matchup. Moving on now and rounding out 4A Division I in Region 4, you'll find the Jaguars of LBJ taking on the Batlin Billies of Fredericksburg. Toloso Midway against the Black Cats of Bay City. San Antonio Davenport and Austin Eastside squaring off. The Sandcraps of Port Lavaca Calhoun and Zapata Lavernia and Hidalgo Somerset and the Titans of Manor No-Tech. Corpus Christi Cal and the Wildcats look to go up against the Rice Birds of El Campo. And finally, we round it out with the Ducks of Taylor taking on Canyon Lake. Guys, that's 4A Division I.
That is 4A Division I, and there's a number of power nexuses here, I think. It's going to be easy to take a look at the heavyweights there in Region 1, but I also think Region 3 is pretty loaded. I think overall it's a fairly balanced bracket in 4A Division I this year.
Yeah, I think there's teams in every region that can win a state championship conceivably. Mm-hmm. Let's start in Region 3. You mentioned it. East Texas has really dominated Region 3. Kilgore, Chapel Hill, Lindale. Most recent regional champs in the past 5 or so years. I think those three are going to be in the mix, but if there's a team to dream on outside of East Texas, watch out for second-year program Fort Bend Crawford, led by Alvin Mosley. They are 9-1 on the season and playing their best football at the right time.
Down in Region 2, of course, you have the reigning state champs in Salina. This is a team that has been essentially wire-to-wire number one in Dave Campbell's Texas football. A team that is rolling right now. Quarterback Bo Bentley, the Oklahoma commit. But it is not a clear path for them out of Region 1. I think Decatur is tricky. And then if they were to get to a matchup in a regional final against a team like Alvarado, Springtown, or Frisco Panther Creek, a team that's very, very highly talented. talented.
Salina got on the good side of the bracket
Yes.
for sure. That top part of Region 2 is absolutely loaded. Undefeated
gnarly.
Springtown, Frisco Panther Creek, undefeated Alvarado, Sulphur Springs, who's 9-1. This is a loaded top part of the bracket. Those round 2 matchups look incredibly tasty.
Region 4, I want to touch on this a little bit. Corpus Christi, Cal Allen, and El Campo. You want to talk about a pedigree first-round matchup. That is a real blue blood stuff there. El Campo and Cal Allen in the first round. But I really like what Lavernia has done. I think that they're a team to watch. And then Austin LBJ, a team that's put together a great year. Potential second round or third round matchup there with Davenport.
Yeah, I mean, Lavernia won the region last year, came out of nowhere. They're not going to surprise anyone this year. You mentioned Cal Allen, LBJ, Bay City's a tricky second-round matchup, and you got Davenport, undefeated. They won the region 2 years ago. They had an early playoff exit last year. They're looking to get a little bit of revenge after last year.
Finally, Region 1, it's easy to look at two teams. Canyon West Plains and Stephenville, they played a whopper regional final last year, which West Plains upset Stephenville. Stephenville would love another chance at them. That feels like where we're careening towards.
Yeah, I think if there's one region that where I can pretty much pencil in two teams in the regional final, I think it's going to be Stephenville and West Plains. And sign me up for that football game. Wherever it's played, I might be at that game because it is going to be an absolute war.
That is 4A Division 1 here on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. On to 4A Division 2. And here to tell us about what the bracket looks like, Mallory Hartley.
Let's jump right into 4A Division 2, starting off at the very top in Region 1. It's Midland Greenwood. They went 10-0 on the season, taking on Perryton. Benbrook and Eagle Mountain, that's their second year as a varsity program. Lubbock Liberty, first playoff appearance in program history, taking on Monahans. You've got Graham taking on Godley. The Brock Eagles up against Fort Worth Dunbar. Lubbock Estacado taking on Fort Stockton. Glenrose and Mineral Wells down there at the very bottom, Seminole and Levelland. Let's move on to Region 2 here. At the very top, you've got Crum taking on Ferris. Athens taking on Gilmer. If you want to see a junior 6'6", 340-pound offensive lineman, pay attention to that game. It's Ishmael Kamara, pay attention. Sunnyvale taking on Van Alstyne, Van and Center. Texarkana, Pleasant Grove. I like Jamarion Richardson, a Baylor commit there for Pleasant Grove, taking on Brownsboro. Kenton and Caddo Mills. Carthage, probably arguably your favorite out of 4A Division 2. They're going to try and make it back to AT&T Stadium. They'll be taking on Pittsburgh. Sanger and Quinlan Ford down there at the very bottom. Let's flip over to the other side of the bracket. And at the top in Region 3, it's West Orange Star taking on Wharton. Robinson, really like quarterback Bryce McCurdy. They'll be up against Madisonville and the Mustangs. West Columbia and Shepherd. Sealy up against Gatesville. Belleville, they made an AT&T appearance a couple of years ago. They'll be taking on China Spring. They were also at AT&T Stadium just a couple of years ago. That'll be a fun first-round matchup. Lamarck and Hampshire Faunet, Waco La Vega, really like newest UNT commit Jabari Thornton, wide receiver there for Waco La Vega. They'll be taking on LaGrange. And to round out Region 3, Silsby and Sweeney. And to round out 4A Division 2, at the top of Region 4, it's Salado and Pearsall. Kingsville and Rockport Fulton, Bandera and Gonzales. Cuero and Walker Dietz, they'll be taking on La Feria. Sinton and Rio Grande City Grula. Devine and Gerald. Port Isabel taking on Robstown. And down there at the very bottom, it's Wimberley and Carrizo Springs. Another fun bracket to look forward to. Guys, what you think?
4A Division 2, of course, this has been basically the bracket that is it Carthage or is it not Carthage? It's easy to start there in Region 2. Carthage, of course, I think starts the year as number one team in the state. They've gone wire to wire as the number one team in the state. They are, in my opinion, the favorite to go back to back.
Sure.
But they will have to escape a gnarly region in Region 2.
Yeah, I mean, basically Texarkana Pleasant Grove most of the season has been the number 2 team in the state of Texas. They're really, really strong as well. A potential third round matchup there. In the regional final, they could have to have a district rematch with an Athens squad that pushed them to the brink in the regular season. Athens has a quarterback, David Richardson II, who can absolutely spin it, y'all. They are a team to watch. 8-2 on the year. They have a tough first-round matchup with Gilmer, but Athens is a team to watch. And you got Sunnyvale. Kason Maupin, the quarterback there, has done a great job. Sunnyvale beat Gilmer in the playoffs last year and advanced to the third round.
I love the shape of Region 1. I've been no secret that I'm a Midland Greenwood guy. I think that the Rangers are absolutely loaded, 10-0 on the year.
You've always been a big Lincoln Madrid guy.
I'm a Lincoln Madrid homer. What can I say? He's a dog. But Lubbock Liberty is dangerous. Graham is a team that's got great playoff experience. Brock has been a wagon. And then down at the bottom, I think all four of those teams, Glen Rose, Mineral Wells, Seminole, and Levelland, I think those are four real high variance teams. It would not be surprised to see any of those teams come out of that foursome.
Yeah, on their best day, any of those four teams can play with anyone in the region. I look at Midland Greenwood and Brock as the two teams to beat. This Brock offense, I've seen them this year in person. This is the best Brock offense I think they've ever had in school history. And that's saying something because Brock has championship pedigree, but they have been unbelievable on the offensive side of the ball this year.
Region 3 is going to be a lot of fun per usual. You've got some Golden Triangle teams there like West Orange, Stark. They have been exceptional. Keep an eye on Silsby as well, a very highly athletic team. And the state runner-up from a year ago, the La Vega Pirates, and they're doing that thing again, Step, where they start a little slow and they get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, Don Hyde has his ball club playing their best football at the right time. They play a brutal non-district schedule. They get battle-tested. They get a little bit beat up. They come back in the playoffs, and they are a wagon. How about a third-round matchup, La Vega and Belleville?
Yeah.
That's not going to be for the faint of heart. If you like physical, old-school football, these are two football teams that will absolutely strike you.
Two teams taking tire irons to one another for our amusement. Region 4 is going to be pointsy. I'll say that much. You want to talk about firepower. Cuero can score. Sinton can score. Rockport, Fulton can score. Wimberley can score if they can ever play a normal game. This is a team we talked about. They've played like 9 one-score games, but Wimberley finds a way, and to me, until somebody knocks out Wimberley, they've got to be the team to beat in Region 4.
They've dominated Region 4 over the past 5 or 6 years. Until proven otherwise, they're a team to beat, but I think this might be the year. Sinton, Cuero, Salado. Gerald. Hey, Gerald runs the slot T as well. That's the devil, and they do a great job under head coach Alan Hare. I love Sinton running back Micah Green, and you mentioned Walker Dietz there at Cuero. Cuero's offense is unbelievable. If they can get some stops on the defensive side of the ball, Cuero is going to be a team to watch.
4A Division 1 is going to be a ton of fun, and we're going to be tracking it every step of the way at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Hey, one quick thing. I want to invite you to go to FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com/nominate to nominate your gridiron hero for excellence on and off the field. It is the last week to nominate. Oh my gosh, go right now. FordPlayerOfTheWeek.com/nominate to nominate your player for the Built Ford Tough Player of the Week. After the break, the Class 3A brackets, 3A Division 1 and 3A Division 2. Stay with us.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Higginbotham have teamed up to find the most driven team in Texas. This fall, 10 finalists will be highlighted throughout the season, with one student athlete from each team receiving the Most Driven Scholar Athlete Award for their leadership in the classroom, along with $1,000 in tuition assistance. In November, all 10 communities will rally to vote on TexasFootball.com, competing for the title of the most driven team in Texas. The school that rallies the most online votes will receive a $10,000 donation to their school, thanks to the support of Higginbotham. To learn more, visit TexasFootball.com/mostdriventeam.
Uh-oh. You good?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Well, if your back hurts, you should be able to get the care you need, so you can get in, get out, and get back out there, like fast.
Well, that is kind of my thing.
It's not complicated. Scheduling's easy on the MyBSW Health app.
I've seen a lot of Texas out on the open road, from up in Amarillo down to San Antonio. No matter where I travel, one thing remains the same. Everybody loves Ford here in the Lone Star State. Ford is the best in Texas.
It's Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal special, presented by our friends at Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm Greg Tepper. We are rolling, revealing bracket after bracket. 6A, 5A, 4A already done. In the books, in the pocket, out of sight. Class 3A is up next. And 3A Division 1 has been the wildest classification in all of Texas high school football. The dust has settled. Here's the playoff bracket with Ashley Pickle.
And it makes sense why it's one of my absolute favorite classifications across the state because of the chaos, which starts here in Region 1. You take a look, and it's Shallow Water in Brownfield, Peaster and Sweetwater, Denver City and Amarillo River Road. How about Clyde and Vernon? Then a tasty matchup there between Tuscola Jim Ned and Boyd, Lamesa and Bushland. Bushland trying to get back to that regional final. Paradise and Breckenridge and Dalhart. Keep your eye on Dalhart taking on Kermit. We move now to Region 2 in the bottom half of the left side of the bracket, and it's Whitney and Whitesboro. Atlanta, the Rabbits, going up against Winsboro, Pottsboro, and Maypearl, Malakoff, and Texarkana, Liberty, Ilu, Commerce, and the Bulldogs of Jefferson, Pilot Point, and West, Gladewater, and Mount Vernon. And then we round it out with the Zebras, or Zebras, you could say, of Grandview taking on Palmer. We flip now to the right side of the bracket where we end up in the always chaotic Region 3. Fairfield in Anahuac, Yoakum and McGregor, Hardin versus Crockett. How about the Swole Bees of Little River Academy taking on the Bulldogs of Hitchcock in a tasty by-district matchup? Franklin and Hallettsville, Orangefield and Diboll, Columbus and Troy and Palestine Westwood up against East Chambers. We move now to Region 4, and it's the Fightin' Llano Yellow Jackets taking on Poteet, Rio Hondo and London. Crystal City, the Javelinas, taking on the Rohawks of Universal City Randolph, which might be the by-district round mascot matchup of this entire playoff. Goliad and Bishop. Edna and San Diego, one's the Cowboys, one's the Vaqueros. They both have the same logo, so that's fun. Journington taking on Marion, Raymondville and Orange Grove, and we round it all out with the second place team there in District 13, 3A Division 1, and Ingram Moore against Hondo. Guys, a lot to break down here.
Yeah, a lot to break down. I think we can immediately eliminate Llano from contention. I think that's one thing we can do. I think it's just like we can just say, oh, her mic's off. It's weird.
Yeah,
so
it's
weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. Llano, a contender there in Region 4. We'll get to them in a minute. 3A Division 1. Hard to wrap your arms around what has happened because I think that last year you had a team in Columbus that looked like the clear team to beat. Your team to beat in 3A Division 1 right now is
Franklin?
Maybe?
Question mark? I'll say this: Franklin, their offense, they've broken the analytics on their rushing numbers this year. If the Lions can get some defense, which they have played good defense most of the year, they're going to be hard to beat because Mark Fannon's ball club can run the dang ball.
That's a good place to start about Region 3 because Franklin, of course, up there in Region 3, they will have a potentially third-round matchup with Columbus, the reigning 3A Division 1 state champs. And then at the top, I mean, you want to talk about some high-ceiling ball clubs. Fairfield, Yoakum, Hardin, one of the stories of the year.
10-0.
Little River Academy and Hitchcock is a whale of a first round. Region 3 is a movie.
Yeah, it's loaded. I think Hardin, no one's talking about the Hardin Hornets. We should be talking about them. Chad Taylor's ball club is hard to prepare for. They're borderline unstoppable on offense this year. They've only punted like 6 times all year. They've been unbelievable.
We mentioned Region 4. Llano, I think, is one of the teams to beat there. That is a team to keep an eye on. Although I think a second-round matchup potentially with Rio Hondo is tricky. It's a good Rio Hondo ball club. Goliad is another team to keep an eye on. They're in that top half of the bracket. And then Edna is going to be a problem per usual in Region 4. And Raymondville and Orange Grove, a first-round matchup to keep an eye on.
Yeah, Orange Grove was in line to win the district championship until they got upset by London in week 11, and that sets them up against 10-0 Raymondville. If you haven't heard the good news about running back Trayshawn Washington for Raymondville, you need to get on board. Coach Will Littleton in his first year has got Raymondville rolling at 10-0.
Region 1 up there. I think that this is a place where Paradise is a team that if you have not paid a ton of attention to Texas high school football, you may not be familiar with them. Folks, familiarize yourself with Paradise.
Yeah.
They are very, very dangerous, but a third-round matchup with Jim Net, I would say they're actually on the dirty side of that region.
Yeah, Bushland is a team that could potentially make some noise. Dalhart has had a great year. They're going to be tough. I look at the top part of the bracket. I was really high on Vernon up until week 11 when they got absolutely lambasted by Peaster. Watch out for the Peaster Greyhounds. They're in the same district with Paradise. They gave Paradise a great game. Would not be surprised to see a regional final rematch between Peaster and Paradise.
That Clyde Vernon game is really fun. And then Region 2, it's been teams that I think, of course, Malakoff played for a state championship a year ago. They've reloaded fairly well, but Whitney has been fantastic. Atlanta and Winsboro is a fantastic first-round matchup. And then you've got a couple of teams that I think are flying under people's radar, like Commerce, like Pilot Point, like Gladewater.
Yeah, Gladewater under first-year head coach Jermaine Lewis has been 9-1, been nothing short of unbelievable this year. They've done a great job. Jefferson is a really dangerous 4 seed, but they've got a tough first-round matchup with Commerce. Malakoff and Liberty Ilo in the first round. That was a regional final a year ago. And then Pottsboro kind of hanging out there in Texoma. No one's talking about the Cardinals. They'll have a chance to make a little bit of noise as well.
3A Division I has been unpredictable all season long. Why would this be any different now that we're in the playoffs? On to 3A Division II, where we've got a team looking to three-peat. The Gunner Tigers will look to three-peat, but they will have to get through a treacherous 3A Division II bracket. And here to tell us all about it, Mallory Hartley.
Guys, dare I say that 3A Division II could also be unpredictable? Let's take a look at it. Up there at Region 1, Canadian taking on Muleshoe. They've been phenomenal all year. Coahoma and Alpine, Idalou and Dimmitt, Crane and San Angelo Grape Creek. Down there, Odessa Compass taking on Merkel. Slayton taking on Friona. The Hawks of Wall, they'll be playing Anthony. And Childress playing Littlefield down there at the bottom. And up at the top at Region 2, Early taking on Holiday. Scurry Rosser, they'll be playing Leonard. Jacksboro taking on Toller. Blue Ridge and Blooming Grove. Gunner, looking for that three-peat, taking on Rice. Wichita Falls City View, they'll be playing Brady. Cedar Hill TLC taking on Callisburg, and down there at the very bottom of Region 2, it's Clifton and Henrietta. Let's flip over to the other side of the bracket. Starting off in Region 3, it's Edgewood. They'll be taking on New Boston. Woodville and West Rusk. Dangerfield taking on Gilmer Harmony, Arp and Koontz. Troop and Anderson Shiro. Hooks taking on Lone Oak. It's Newton and New Diana. And down there at the very bottom of Region 3, Grand Saline and DeKalb. I really like Colton Prox out of Grand Saline, wide receiver to watch there. Let's round it out with Region 4 of 3A Division 2. It's Blanco taking on Vanderbilt Industrial. Odom and Catula. Tidehaven, they are the #1 ranked team in 3A Division 2 as of right now, taking on Comfort. Stockdale and Santa Rosa. Poth and Taft. East Bernard taking on Rogers. George West and Karn City. And to round out 3A Division 2, it's Lexington taking on Wallace Brazos. Love Case Evans, a quarterback there for Lexington, just committed to Iowa State. What a fun, wide open bracket, guys. What'd you see?
Absolutely. A quick correction on my part, because it is late. Gunner's looking for a four-peat.
Four, yeah.
22, 23, 24.
Don't sell the Tigers short.
My bad.
Tepper.
Who could sell the Gunner Tigers short? They, of course, enter as a team to beat in 3A Division 2. I will say 3A Division 2 does feel a little bit more balanced this year, and I think that there is a legit state championship contender in all 4 regions, which is not something we could say every year in 3A Division 2.
Yeah, the past few years, especially during this three-peat, it's almost felt like a Gunner coronation is waiting to happen. Gunner's been kind of head and shoulders above the field. They're still one of the top contenders in 3A Division 2, but I think the bracket, as you mentioned, is a lot more balanced. There are some real challengers to Gunner's reign of terror in 3A Division 2.
Including in Region 1, where Wall lurks. And Landon York, their quarterback, has been terrific, but I think that what impresses me most about Wall is the growth of their defense. They look like the team to beat in Region 1, although Canadian, ho-hum, another 9-1 season for the Wildcats. Feels like nobody's talking about them.
Yeah, Canadians kind of likes it that way. They're up there in the Panhandle, and we're not talking much about them because we've talked about Wall, and for good reason, but their sophomore quarterback has been great, and they've gotten better every single week of the season. They are battle-tested.
Region 2, Gunner has dominated Region 2. There's a couple of teams that catch my eye. Wichita Falls City View in a second-round matchup can be dangerous there. Yeah. And then I would look at a team, maybe like Jacksboro in a regional final there. But Gunner, I think, a clear favorite in Region 2.
Yeah, Gunner's not a clear favorite in as far as winning a state championship. They are among the favorites, but I think they are the clear favorite in Region 2. I don't think Region 2, aside from the other, it's been the one region that I don't think as a whole is deeper than it was last year. I think every other region is a lot deeper.
Keep an eye on Early there. That's a team that I've got my eye on. Region 3, a ton of speed in this region.
This is the fireworks factory.
This is where you are going to get first and second round matchups that are going to blow your socks off. I look everywhere here. Dangerfield's dangerous. Newton's dangerous. Grand Saline has one of the most explosive offenses in Texas high school football. Troop, Edgewood, Woodville played for a title last year.
Yeah, there's great quarterback play, great defense, explosive offense. I love Troop. Troop has been under the radar, 10-0 all year. ARP, their arch rival in the 7-mile rivalry, is 9-1. They're really good. Obviously, you can't count out Dangerfield and Newton, perennial powers. Edgewood and Grand Saline have absolute flamethrowers on the offensive side of the ball. If they can get their defense to play well, they are extremely dangerous. Region 3 is going to have great matchups all throughout the playoffs.
And then Region 4, there's a couple of teams that really catch my eye. One of them, you got to start with Tidehaven, a team that played for a state championship a couple of years ago, made it to a semifinal last year. Cale Russell, their quarterback, has been terrific, but Blanco is dangerous. I think Poth, East Bernard, and oh yeah, a second-round matchup between Lexington and undefeated George West could be box office.
Yeah, Lexington's got the most dangerous player in the region in their quarterback, Case Evans. Blanco, the slot T is the devil. Mm-hmm. Former Liberty Hill head coach Kent Walker is there. They're getting better each and every week, but my money is still on. If my fake money, obviously,
your fake money
is obviously
not
on
real.
Tidehaven. David Lucio's ball club played for a state championship 2 years ago. They've got a 4-year starter at quarterback. They've just been unbelievable this year, blowing through everyone. I think Tidehaven, right now, I think is the favorite in Region 4, and I think the favorite to get to Arlington and AT&T Stadium.
Will it be blue blood or new blood in 3A Division 2? We will find out together in the Texas High School Football Playoffs, which get kicked off on Thursday. We will have continuous coverage at texasfootball.com/playoffs, and you can stream tons of games on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, TexanLive.com. After the break, the Class 2A brackets. You do not want to miss these small school superstars. Stay with us.
I've seen a lot of Texas out on the open road, from up in Amarillo down to San Antonio. No matter where I travel, one thing remains the same. Everybody loves Ford here in the Lone Star State. Ford is the best in Texas.
Dave Campbell's Texan Live's Athlete of the Month, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, shines a spotlight on one outstanding female and one exceptional male athlete each month who exemplify excellence on and off the field. This prestigious recognition celebrates student athletes who demonstrate remarkable athletic performance, unwavering dedication to their teams, and a commitment to their communities. To nominate your student athlete, scan the QR code on screen or visit texasfootball.com/athlete of the month. With support from Dick's Sporting Goods, we are proud to honor these young leaders who inspire their peers and represent the best of Texas high school sports.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers, Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, and Baylor Scott & White Health.
Back here on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show, I'm Greg Tepper. We have gone through 6A, 5A, 4A, 3A, but don't you worry, 2A. We have made it to the 2A Division 1 bracket. A ton to talk about here, and here to tell us those first-round matchups, Ashley Pickle.
In 2A Division 1, we start off in Region 1, and y'all like points? Because I promise you, you're going to find points in Region 1 here. Stinnett, West Texas, and Abernathy. Holly and Forsan, New Home in Amarillo Highland Park. How about Sonora and Stamford in a tasty matchup? It's the Christian Villarreal show in Ozona as he tries to break the all-time leading rushing record, taking on Anson, and then New Deal and Spearman, Cisco and Cristobal, and we round it out with Panhandle and Post. Moving on now to Region 2, Hamilton against Zach Birdwell's Tioga Bulldogs, Mildred and Dawson, Alvord and Heiko, Valley Mills and Price Carlisle, Axtell, the Longhorns taking on Cayuga, Tom Bean, the Tomcats taking on the Dragons of Bangs, then Frankston and Bosqueville and De Leon and Wolf City. We switch now to the right side of the bracket where we will find Region 3. It's the Kagan Ash show for Honey Grove against Union Grove, a battle of groves there. Centerville and Joaquin, Elijah Fields and Como Picton, Garrison looking like a unit again, taking on Corrigan Camden, and then it's St. Augustine and Groveton Wascom and Cupper. Juliet Leone and Shelbyville against Omaha, Paul Pewitt and Beckville. We then transition to the final region here in 2A Division I, and that would be Region 4, Crawford and Johnson City, Santa Maria and Kennedy Mason. The Punchers taking on the Bulldogs of Marlin, Schulenburg and Freer, Ganado. Watch out for Ganado. And Three Rivers, Thorndale and Moody. Refugio needs no introduction. They will be going up against Weimer, and then it's Rosebud Lot taking on the Armadillos of San Saba. Greg Tepper.
2A Division I, fun as always, and it's probably smart to start with the reigning state champs, and especially the region they inhabit. The Ganado Indians won their first ever state championship a year ago. We wondered how quickly they would reload. They have reloaded really well down there in Ganado. They may be running into a third-round matchup, a Thanksgiving showdown with their old friends Refugio.
Yeah, 2 years ago, Ganado got on the map with an upset of Refugio in the playoffs last year. Took it all the way to the state championship. We thought Josh Irvin's ball club is going to be in a little bit of a rebuilding mode. They impressed us this summer in 7-on-7. We thought they had the pieces to make another run, and here we are. They are among the favorites in Region 4, along with Refugio, who I believe has been a wire-to-wire number one team in the state in 2A Division I.
They absolutely have. Keep an eye on a team like Crawford as well, which has been excellent.
First-year head coach Ty Robinson has done a fantastic job at Crawford.
Up in Region 1, you want to talk about star power. I mean, Stinnett, West Texas with Cade Winters, their quarterback, has been terrific. Sonora has got dogs. Christian Villarreal, potentially the all-time single-season rushing leader, if they can get past a sneaky Anson team. And then that matchup at the bottom half, Panhandle and Post, that's first round?
Crazy. That's insane. Broxton Robinson, the Army commit at Panhandle, puts up huge numbers. And then, hey, no one's talking about the big damn Lobos there at Cisco. They are tremendous. They are 9-1. Cisco out of the big country is back.
And keep an eye on Stanford. Remember, they played for a state championship a year ago. Region 2, the official region of Tep and Step.
Yes.
2A Division I Region 2 is just a lot of fun because it's so wide open. Although I do think potentially we have a favorite. Dare I say, the Frankston Indians have emerged?
Yeah, out of East Texas, Frankston has been unbelievable this year, 10-0. They have all the pieces. They have senior experience. They are athletic at the skill positions. They're good up front. They're playing better defense this year. I think Frankston right now enters the playoffs as the favorite in 2A Division I Region 2.
But you keep an eye on Hamilton at the top of that region. Of course, the team that won the region a year ago. Their defense has been terrific, coming off of a really impressive Week 11 win over Dillon, who has a really tough first-round matchup with Wolf City and H.D. Davis.
Yeah, they got to deal with one of the best running backs. It's the year of the running back in Class 2A. Christian Villarreal at Ozona, H.D. Davis there at Wolf City, and then you got Kagan Ash at Mount Enterprise in the Division 2 bracket. It is an absolutely loaded running back group at the 2A level.
And over in Region 3, plenty of star power as well. Rylan Morris, the outstanding playmaker for Honeygrove, it leads them into
Recently
battle.
recommitted to Baylor.
Oh yeah, he is exceptional. Elysian Fields has really high upside. I'm very high on what San Augustine has.
Tory Barnes has done a great job there.
They have got I think Region 3 feels pretty wide open and a little bit unpredictable.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good teams here, very balanced. Beckville's loaded with talent as well. If you want a fun player to watch, go watch Elysian Fields. And Brandon Kennedy, they call him Nunu. He is an absolute stud there at Elysian Fields.
Nunu Kennedy, a name to know there in 2A Division I. It will be a ton of fun keeping track of that bracket at texasfootball.com/playoffs. One more 11-man bracket to go, 2A Division II. It may be the smallest 11-man schools, but they have got big-time storylines. Here to tell us about the 2A Division II bracket, Mallory Hartley.
Man, Tep, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's the smallest 11-man classification, 2A Division II. Let's get right into it. At the top in Region 1, you've got Stratford taking on Morton, El Dorado taking on Tahoka, Hale Center and Bovina, Seagraves and Ira Ann, Ropesville Ropes taking on McCamey, Sudan taking on Farwell. Down there at the very bottom, it's the Wink Wildcats. They'll be playing Sundown. And Groover, they'll be taking on Lockney. In Region 2, up there at the top, it's Wheeler. They'll be taking on Electra. Collinsville and Roscoe. Windthorst and Clarendon. Hamlin, they'll be playing Lindsay. Albany, a team to always look out for. They'll be playing Santo. Petrolia taking on Quanah. Munster Hornets, they're not going away. It's the Cason Carney show. They'll be playing Cross Plains. And the Wellington Skyrockets, they'll be taking on Haskell. To flip over to the other side of the bracket, let's start off with Cumbie taking on Mart. It's Eva Dale and Lovelady. Bremond taking on Sims Bowie. Grapeland, they'll be playing at Deweyville. It's the Kagan Ash Show, Texas Tech commit out of Mount Enterprise. They'll be taking on West Hardin. Chilton and Clarksville, it's West Sabine and Overton. And down there at the bottom, Maud will be playing Goldthwaite. And to round out 2A Division II with Region 4. At the very top there, it's Granger. They'll be playing D'Hanis. Agua Dulce, they'll be taking on Yorktown. Junction and Somerville, it's Falls City. They're playing Woodsboro. And Shiner and Benbolt. Brackettville, they'll be playing Burton. La Villa, they'll be taking on Luis. And down there at the very bottom of Region 4, it's Iola. They'll be playing Savinol. There we go. 11-man classification. We are done.
2A Division II, smallest classification, but a ton to watch here. And let's go to the big board and start in Region 2, because that's where the reigning state champs in Munster live. Of course, they have been terrific. Case and Carney and company, of course, I think a favorite to win Region 2. However, did they get put on the absolute dirtiest side of that Region 2 bracket?
Yeah, a second-round matchup of Wellington is no picnic, and then a potential third-round matchup with Albany, who won back-to-back state championships in 2022 and 2023. Region 2 is full of potholes. No one's talking about the Wheeler Mustangs at the Panhandle. That defense...
Nasty.
It's hard to win games if you can't score, and when Wheeler makes it really hard for you to score.
Up there in Region 1, this feels a little bit more wide open. There's a couple of teams that catch my eye. Stratford's really reloaded on the fly. I've been very impressed with what the Elks have been able to do. Keep an eye on Groover and Ropes. Those are two teams that I'm very interested in. And the Wink Wildcats, very dangerous.
Can never count out Brian Gibson's ball club. Groover won the region. They were a bit of a surprise last year. They're not going to sneak up on anyone this year. But there's a lot of power, especially in the Texas Panhandle in this region.
Over in Region 3, it's strange to see Mart put in a position where they were in fourth place in their own district.
4 seed, yeah.
But they are in, and there's few teams in Texas with the pedigree of Mart. They will take on Cumbia in the first round, but I think there are two teams that are going to need to be reckoned with here. One of them is the Bremond Tigers.
Sure.
They have been absolutely fantastic. The other one, the Mount Enterprise Wildcats. Kagan Ash, one of the all-time leading rushers in Texas high school football history. They will go as far as the defense can take them.
Yeah, I think Region 3 is really the story of two districts. I think District 10 and District 11 is where the power. So you're going to get you might get some blowouts in round 1, but I think in round 2, how about Kagan Ash going against that Chilton defense in round 2? Chilton's got one of the best defenses in all of Class 2A. And then you got Bremond going up against Grapeland, a rematch of the regional final a year ago where Grapeland pushed Bremond to the limit. These are going to be some outstanding round 2 matchups.
And then in Region 4, look, Munster may be the defending state champs, but they are not the number 1 team in the state. No, that is the Shiner Comanches, undefeated on the year, reloaded in a big way. They, in my opinion, are the favorite in Region 4, although Granger is dangerous, and those Junction boys are dangerous.
3 undefeated teams there, Granger, Junction, and Shiner. Obviously, Shiner, I think, is the favorite in Region 4. They pushed Munster to the brink in the state title game last year with a young ball club. Jarvis Williams has stepped in at quarterback and been unbelievable for Shiner. I think right now you got to look at Shiner as the favorite in Region 4.
That's the 2A Division II bracket, the smallest 11-man classification, and we are excited to watch it play out at TexasFootball.com/playoffs. TexasFootball.com/playoffs is where you can find complete coverage of the 2025 Texas High School Football Playoffs, printable brackets, predictions, game times, locations, and more. First, a quick word from our friends at Dick's Sporting Goods. Games shape futures, bus rides build bonds, coaches change character. At Dick's Sporting Goods, we believe that sports have the power to change lives, and we're proud to partner with Dave Campbell's and its mission to get athletes in the game. Gear up for your next season today, in-store or at Dicks.com. Every season starts at Dick's. Don't worry about 6-man football, folks, because we got the Class 1A brackets. After the break, we will break down who is the teams to beat on the small stage of them all, if you stay with us.
Yo, these KDs are fire. Bro, you work here?
Whatever, kid. Take notes. Yo, I can guard pro in these.
I can guard you and route you up.
You sure about that?
Not anymore.
Fellas looking for a quarterback?
The goal!
Billy needs cleats. You're right, Billy. These do bring out my eyes.
Every shoe for every athlete, only at Dick's.
Dick's is the GOAT.
In a state where football is king, more than 1,200 teams have a shared destination on their minds. Arlington, Texas. Here, champions will be crowned.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Texas Farm Bureau Insurance. And Baylor Scott & White Health.
It's Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show. I am Greg Tepper. We have revealed all 10 UIL 11-man brackets, but we still got 2 more to go because, folks, it's 6-man football. Class 1A. We'll start with 1A Division 1, and here to tell us about the star-studded 32-team bracket is Ashley Pickle.
It wouldn't be comprehensive coverage if we didn't have our favorite 6-man football games being played. We start off in 1A Division 1 in Region 1. It's Booker and Spring Lake Earth, Whiteface and Garden City, the Red Devils of Rankin and Borden County, and then the Swifts of Nazareth taking on Claude. We move to Region 2 now, Turkey Valley and Vernon Northside, Era and Robert Lee, Water Valley and Hermely, Newcastle and Petersburg. We move now to the right side of the bracket where you will find Milford taking on St. Joe, Aquila and Burkeville, Chester and Coolidge, and then Union Hill and Avalon. And then we get to Region 4. Arguably the team to beat is Gordon the Longhorns with Rye Reed and Stryker Reed. They'll be facing Jonesboro in the bi-district round, Menard and Canepa. How about Runge and Medina? And then finally, the Tigers of Maine taking on Gorman.
There it is, the Class 1A Division 1 bracket. Let's talk a little bit about what we will do in 1A Division 1. It's a fascinating bracket. Of course, Gordon is the team to beat here. The back-to-back state champs looking for a three-peat with Stryker Reed and Rye Reed. They are the favorites there in Region 4. But they will have some work to do, most certainly. A first-round matchup with a team with state championship pedigree in Jonesboro. Congratulations to the Rock Crushers of Canepa, their first ever playoff berth. Congratulations to them, but May lurks at the bottom of Region 4. Up in Region 1, you've, of course, got Whiteface, who played for a state championship just a year ago. That first-round matchup, Rankin and Borden County, is gnarly. Region 2, I've got all eyes on that Ira and Robert Lee first-round matchup. Water Valley, I think, is the clear team to beat, though. In Region 2, they will take on Hermley in the first round of the playoffs. And then Region 3, fascinating stuff. I think Aquila is the team to beat here, the 10-0 district champions, coming off of a really impressive win over their rival Abbott. That game, by the way, Milford and St. Joe, that's a Thursday night affair in the DFW Metroplex at Keller Timber Creek High School. If you've ever wanted to see 6-man football and you're in the DFW Metroplex, make your way out to Timber Creek High to watch Milford and St. Joe in the first round of the playoffs. That's 1A Division 1, the 6-man bracket, to the smallest of all the classifications, 1A Division 2, and here to tell us about it, Mallory Hartley.
Let's round it out with the smallest UIL classification in 1A Division 2 in Region 1. Up there at the top, Miami taking on Paducah, Whit Harrell and Ackerley Sands, Klondike taking on Amherst, and Motley County, they'll be playing Follett down there at the bottom. In Region 2, Balmorhea, they'll be taking on Blackwell, Benjamin, they'll be playing Aspermont, the Jayton Jaybirds looking to go back-to-back, they'll be taking on Guthrie, Bront will be playing Grand Falls Royalty, and on the other side of the bracket in Region 3 up there at the top, Strawn, they'll be taking on Goldberg, Bluffdale will be playing Mount Calm, Oakwood and Three-Way, and Fanadale and Woodson to round out Region 3. And to round out 1A Division 2, Zephyr taking on the Elks of Evant, Richland Springs playing Calvert, Cherokee will be taking on Rochelle, and to round out 1A Division 2, it's Oglesby. They need no introduction. They'll be playing Blanket. All right, time to fill out some brackets, guys.
That's it. There it is, 1A Division 2. A lot to break down here. Of course, Jayden, the defending state champs, they're in Region 2. But that is a really, really dangerous Region 2. Benjamin is a problem. That first-round matchup with Aspermont is really, really fun. Balmorhea is back, and they are going to be really fun to watch. That second-round matchup between them and either Benjamin or Aspermont will be box office. Region 1, Klondike is the name to know here. Coach Dalton DeGraff and Reed's Ball Club has been absolutely exceptional all year long. I think they're the biggest threat to Jayton's games back-to-back threat run, but Whit Harrell, Motley County, they're all going to be fantastic. Over in Region 3, Strawn has looked the part of a state champion all year long. Coach Dwayne Lee does it better than almost anybody in Texas high school football. They should be the favorite there, although Oakwood, the surprising state finalist a year ago, looking to make it another surprise with a first-round matchup with three-way. And down in Region 4, Richland Springs, of course, a team that needs no introduction, the most decorated program in six-man football, but they will have to get out of a pretty tough region that could include a matchup in the first round, or in the regional finals, rather, with rival Cherokee. That will be a lot of fun to watch there in Region 4. 1A Division 2 promises to be a lot of fun, and we will have you covered every step of the way at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Okay. That's all 12 UIL Texas High School Football playoff brackets. You can go to texasfootball.com/playoffs right now. And of course, Matt Stepp, there's 352 UIL Texas High School Football playoff games next week. Let's get to the Built for Tough games to watch in the bi-district round. There's a ton of fun action. Which games stick out to you?
Obviously, Austin Westlake and Austin Vandergrift down there in the capital city. State champ versus a state runner-up from a year ago. Should be a ton of fun. The coaching matchup at Argyle Lovejoy is going to be fantastic. And then we're on record watch. Ozona, Christian Villarreal, the 10-0 Ozona Lions, taking on a really tricky 4 seed in Anson.
Yeah, Raymondville and Orange Grove, I think, is an under-the-radar game. Is that 9-1 versus 10-0?
8-2 versus 10-0.
8-2 versus 10-0. Pretty good. And then Gilmer is I think, a very dangerous team there in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, you look at Gilmer's record and they're 4-6. That schedule they played is brutal. When Gilmer's good, they're really good. They just haven't been able to put it together. And then Athens, the Hornets out of Henderson County, really, really tough team. They gave Carthage a great game in district play. They're going to be a team to watch.
Of course, you can find all of those things, every game, everything you need for the Texas High School Football playoffs at texasfootball.com/playoffs. We have got you covered wall to wall this week for the Texas High School Football playoffs. Here's what's next on texasfootball.com. Of course, right now, texasfootball.com/playoffs. Printable brackets. Print them off, baby. Put them up on your wall. Throw them in your Palm Pilot. Printable brackets at texasfootball.com/playoffs. Monday, noon, wherever you're watching us right now, it's a Texas Football Today playoff prediction special. Myself, Ashley Pickle, Greg Powers, Mallory Hartley, Carter Yates, bringing you our predictions for the 2025 Texas High School Football playoffs. And then on our YouTube page, Bracketology, full breakdowns of all 12 UIL Texas High School Football playoff brackets. Matt Stepp, it is the most wonderful time of the year, and I'm ready to get it going, my friend.
Yeah, we're gonna watch a lot of football in the next 6 weeks, and it's my favorite time right now. Let's get it on.
TexasFootball.com/playoffs and TexasFootball.com/subscribe to watch dozens and dozens of live Texas high school football playoff games every single week. It's TexasFootball.com/subscribe. That is going to do it for the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight playoff bracket reveal show presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. We so appreciate you spending your evening with us. On behalf of our producer, Vianney Moreno, for Mallory Hartley, Ashley Pickle, and Matt Stepp, I'm Greg Tepper. We will see you Monday for the Texas Football Today playoff prediction show. Texas Football Today.